For most people, hair loss is something they don't really think about. Hair is something that they take for granted, something that they just have. It's part of their look and it's part of their identity. Of course, here on this channel, we know that's not the reality for everybody. There's many different types of hair loss, but one of the scariest is androgenic alopecia, which is male pattern baldness, when your genetics basically determine that you
can't have hair.
Hello everyone, my name is Jay Kent, and on this channel right here we talk about hair loss, we talk about hair systems, and we talk about growing to be better men in every single aspect. Now, today we're going to be taking a look at some new therapies that address androgenic alopecia, some of the research that's going on, and some of the breaking news that just might push us for a cure to androgenic alopecia. Now, as it stands in this point in time, there's very few ways to deal with androgenic alopecia. We have a very limited selection of medications and things that we can do to help androgenic alopecia. The most commonly known and used ones are minoxidil and finasteride. Most of these medications have potential side effects, such as potential sexual side effects, which is not that desirable. So in the hair loss space, we need a cure, let alone better things that can fight against and stave off androgenic alopecia, which is where today's topic comes in. Adipose tissue derived stem cells. Now, these type of stem cells release growth hormones and activate cell development. Now I'm going to read off a little bit of the research here as I put it on your screen. So there was a clinical trial that was done with 38 patients, including 29 men and 9 women between the ages of 18 to 59 years old. They were put through a 16-week trial. Half of the patients were assigned to an intervention group, and the other half were assigned a control group receiving a placebo. Now, the solution that they were provided that contained these adipose-derived stem cells was 1% ADSC, for short, diluted in distilled water, where the placebo group simply received the distilled water. Participants were instructed to apply 2 millimeters of solution to the area in which they experienced hair loss twice every day for 16 weeks. Now, scientists would measure through this whole process the total number of hairs as well as the diameter of the hair follicles themselves. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Participants that received the intervention or the adipose-derived stem cells actually had a massive increase in both the total number of hairs and the diameters of the hairs themselves, reaching 28.1% increase in hair density and a 14.2% increase in the thickness of the hairs themselves. Now, the scientists in the study said that these improvements in these areas to the intervention groups were extremely impressive when compared with results of studies on the efficacy of conventional treatments when we're talking about minoxidil or finasteride with androgenic alopecia. Now, this is research that came out in 2020, and it's preliminary. There needs to be more research done, but this is an area with a lot of potential that we might see androgenic alopecia, male pattern baldness, completely removed in our lifetime. I'm not saying it will happen, but it's a potential. And could you imagine what that's like? Could you imagine a world where we don't have to deal with hair loss and we can get on with our lives, right? This brings us to Stemson Therapeutics. Stemson Therapeutics is doing work inside of this space. Now, Stemson Therapeutics uses a different type of stem cell. We talked about ADSCs, which are adipose-derived stem cells. Stemson Therapeutic uses iPSCs, which are induced pluripotent stem cells. Now, what is the difference between these? Induced pluripotent stem cell can be derived from adult humans and then reprogrammed to act like an embryonic stem cell, which is pretty dang fascinating. So that's what Stemson Therapeutic works with. And here's what it says on their website, that they can use iPSCs to regenerate the critical cells required to grow hair in which are damaged or depleted in patients suffering from hair loss. They use iPSC-derived cells to grow de novo hair follicles, offering a new supply of hair to treat people suffering from various forms of alopecia. To date, there are no available treatments capable of growing new hair follicles. So this is pretty cool stuff. This means that, potentially we could see hair loss completely exterminated in our lifetime. Something that affects, like 40% of the population of males. could be gone forever, let alone the women inside of the world. Now, Stemson Therapeutics, where are we inside of this journey? Let's be realistic about it, right? Are they close to this? Is this something that we're going to see in the next year or two for a cure that is available on the market? Now, Stemson Therapeutics received last year in September a $7.5 million seed round of investment money for developing this treatment with iPSCs. Now, the new news is that just this month, in July of 2021, Stemson Therapeutics received a $15 million Series A investment fund to continue this research. So how does that look from like a business and investment standpoint? So we went from a seed round into a Series A. Does that mean that they're going to go public or that they're going to have a product soon? Well, we don't know where they are exactly in their research, but we do know that if they got a larger round of funding, that they are headed in the right directions. Investors are liking the fact that Stemson Therapeutics is doing good work and that they're getting closer and closer to a solution. Now, we've been hearing about stem cells for a couple of years now. Why is it that we haven't had this breakthrough where we can actually use stem cells and we have a product on the market? Well, Stemson Therapeutics has said that the biology to do this, to control these stem cells and to tell them exactly what we want them to do, to basically program them as if they're computer code, has been difficult. But in the last 5 to 10 years, it's finally gotten to a place where they know how to do that. They can do that. So Stemson Therapeutics has done this successfully inside of animal trials. They've done this not in humans, but in animals. So this next phase of development will probably go into clinical human trials. And who knows? After that, that might be great. They will probably have to study long-term effects over a couple years. It's going to be really interesting to see how this progresses in the next 5 years. Like, we might be completely done with hair loss. We might completely have a solution to it and no longer have to either shave our heads, get hair transplants, or wear hair systems. I don't know. I might be out of a YouTube channel, but it's interesting to think about. And I think it's a really, really cool time to be alive for us, that we have a potential solution beyond just a replacement or, a surgery that we literally take out the hair follicles and insert them somewhere else. One day we might look at that and say that was completely barbaric. We now can just, apply a therapeutic and reprogram these cells to say, we want you to do this. You stop doing this, we want you to do it again. It's a cool time to be alive, guys. Let me know what you think about this research in the comments below, and I'm excited to hear from you, and we'll talk soon.